everybody, I'm Frédéric from Let That Be Cake. Welcome back to the tutorials. William and I recently went to Maine for a quick trip. So here you have it. I have blueberries on the brain. It so happened that my friend Michelle just gave me a humongous bag of blueberries. So I quickly divided them, put some in the freezer, and I really want to use them. And this year they're really, really exceptional. I always had issues with blueberries in baked goods, mostly when they are baked in them and not only on top of them, not as a coulis. My issue is that they're either cooked and runny, or cooked and gummy, or raw, and then you have the texture completely wrong when you place it on a baked item. And a few years ago, I stumbled upon a recipe in a very interesting blog, a French baking blog called Sucre d'Orge and Pain d'Épices. If you speak French, I highly recommend taking a look. And in it, Sidonie, who is the writer, was talking about the issues she had with blueberries. And I was surprised and happy to see I was not the only one. So I took her recipe, run to the kitchen, and I haven't looked back. I made some slight adjustments. That's a question of taste. So this is what we're going to do. A blueberry tart, which consists in one sugar dough shell, an almond cream filled with blueberries, and the whole thing will be topped with fresh blueberries in blueberry jam. So let's get started, shall we? Let's start with the sugar dough. This sugar dough is the brainchild of the chef Philippe Conticini. At some point I'll talk to you more about him. He's a very, very interesting person to know. For this dough you will need 90 grams of icing sugar, which is a cup of sugar, icing sugar. You will have 140 grams of butter at room temperature. That is 10 tablespoons of butter. Now, do not panic. The whole thing yields 2 pies. Okay, so 10 tablespoons of butter will be for 2 pies. You will have also 40 grams of almond flour, which is 3/4 of a cup plus 2 tablespoons of almond flour. You will have 1 full egg plus 1 egg yolk. You will also have 2 nice pinches of salt, good quality salt. I use salt flour. And then you will have 230 grams of all-purpose flour, which is 1.5 cup plus 2 tablespoons. The all-purpose flour can be substituted very successfully with gluten-free measure to measure. You can do this dough with a mixer, like I do, or you can also do it by hand using a spatula. It really is not complicated. I'm going to do it for the ease of execution. So in the bowl of the mixer, it is equipped with the flat beater. You're going to put the butter, those 10 tablespoons of butter. Woo. And we're going to beat that until it is very creamy. You're going to add the icing sugar, and continue beating. Once it's incorporated, we're going to add the almond powder, the whole egg and the egg yolk, it is very soupy at this point. I'm going to add the salt to the flour. mix it a little bit, and very slowly add the flour to the mixer. Let's not waste anything. And you're going to beat until well incorporated. It's going to be a very, very wet dough. Let me scrape the sides a little bit. Here you go. Give it another twirl. Oops. That was not intended. And the dough is ready. You're going to scrape it onto a plastic cling wrap. You're going to make a ball. As you can see, it is very sticky. Going to do it like this. Going to make a ball, flatten it a little bit, flatten it, close the wrap, and you're going to place this for 2 hours in the fridge. See you in 2 hours. All right, it's been 2 hours, the dough is ready. I took, if you remember, I told you already before that the dough was enough to make 2 crusts. So what I did was I took out the dough from the fridge, cut it in half, right away put back the dough in the fridge. It does not tolerate any heat. So I'm taking one piece of parchment paper. I put some flour on it, put the dough, a little bit more flour. You either use another piece of parchment paper on it or just go straight to the rolling pin. This amount of dough will line either a 9-inch pie dish, or what I use, the 9-inch metal tart mold that has a removable bottom. The reason is I like the way pie crust cooks in metal. And if you're lucky, you have these, which are the tart rings, which are basically the Rolls Royces of the tart molds. So the dough is really hard. You're going to have to work at it. If it becomes too warm, put it back for 10 minutes in the fridge, because if it is too warm, you will never be able to line your pie. Okay, I put my dough in my pan. I actually put some spray before, or you can just use butter and some flour before you apply the dough. As you saw me doing before, I like finishing the pie by taking the rolling pin and rolling around the edges to have a nice clean look. You can also use a small sharp knife to do this. Okay, now you take a fork, you prick the dough everywhere. The edges as well, the sides. All right, and this goes back in the fridge for an hour. Okay, the pie dough has rested for an hour in the fridge. It's nice and cool. I preheated my oven at 350 Fahrenheit convection. It is 180 degrees Celsius convection. We're going to put a piece of parchment paper at the bottom of the crust, and using pie weights, we're going to fill the bottom of the crust. If you do not have like these ceramic pie weights or a metal ring that does the same thing, use any type of dry beans and it will be perfect. So the oven is ready at 350, 180, and I'm going to be baking this for 10 minutes. See you then. Okay, while the pie is blind baking right now, we're going to make the almond cream. Again, very, very simple. You have here 3 tablespoons of softened butter. You have 40 grams of ground almonds, which is 1/3 of a cup plus 1 teaspoon. You have 40 grams of icing sugar, 1/3 of a cup and 1 teaspoon. You have 1 medium egg. If you have a electronic scale, it is 40 grams of egg. You just have to, in a bowl, whisk the egg and remove what you need to get to 40 grams. And then heavy cream, you need 20 grams, which is 4 teaspoons of heavy cream. Then you have the blueberries. The blueberries, I'm using frozen. As I told you, you do not need to defrost them. You use them as is. I decided to use 150 grams of blueberries, which is just a scant cup. So what we're going to do is, in a bowl, we're going to add the butter. And as you see, it is very, very soft already. I'm going to add the almond flour. You can use a whisk. I'm not crazy about it because I find that the mixture ends up mostly within the wires, and it's more annoying to get rid of it than just do it with a spatula. The 40 grams of icing sugar. Again, it's 1/3 of a cup plus 1 teaspoon. You're going to add the egg. Now, from the moment you start adding the egg, you do not want to be too harsh, because the more you work the mixture at this point, the fluffier it will get in the oven when it cooks, and you do not want that. You do not want a pudding, you do not want a souffle, you want a cream. It is incorporated, barely incorporated, and I'm going to add the 4 teaspoons of heavy cream. Take everything out. Here you go. And again, very gently mix everything. You can let it rest now until the pie is ready. I just took the shell out of the oven. I removed the pie weights, and I threw out obviously the parchment paper. As you can see, hopefully, it is still pretty raw, which is normal. That's what you wanted, because it's going to be baked further now. So you take your cream and you're going to pour it in the bottom of the pan. Make sure you have everything in there. Use this. And roughly just spread it. Because of the heat of the dough, you do not need to worry about spreading evenly the almond cream, because it's going to melt into an even layer. I'm just helping it a little bit by using a small spatula. Now you're going to take that cup of blueberries and put it all over. Here we go. A bit more here. I think that should be more or less even. This one should go there. Don't want to have complaints afterwards. You're going to gently press the blueberries in so that they are part of the almond cream, and you put that back in the oven. Same, it's at 350 Fahrenheit or 180 Celsius for an extra 20 minutes. See you then. So the tart is out of the oven. The finishing touch is a blueberry topping. For that you will need 400 grams of blueberries, fresh or frozen. If they are frozen, keep them frozen. It's 14 ounces, which is 3 cups of blueberries. And in this pan, I warmed up 150 grams of blueberry jam, which is 5 ounces of blueberry jam, which is half a cup. I actually use blueberry preserve because I do not like things that are too sweet. So I melted it on the stovetop, so it's liquid. All you do is pour the blueberries into the warm jam and mix well until everything is covered in jam. So it gets a few swirls like that. Everything is covered, and basically what will happen is the jam is going to slightly, very slightly cook the blueberries, so you will not have that snappy fresh blueberry weird feeling that I personally dislike. Your pie is ready. All you have to do is pour the topping all over. I mean, if that is not a blueberry delight, I don't know what it is. So a little bit of jam here. I'm going to spread it all over. My blueberries are frozen, so I'm going to have to wait for about an hour before I can eat it. If your blueberries are fresh and you like your pie warm, go ahead. In the meantime, this is it. When you are ready to eat it, all you have to do is take some icing sugar, make it nice and pretty, and there you have it. Look at this gorgeous blueberry tart. There's not much better than this in my book. So there you have it. This is the blueberry tart. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please subscribe to the channel. If you really enjoyed it, press that little blue thumb at the bottom of the screen. It is very important for us because that is the way we can tally people. If you have questions, post them below. If you do make it, please take pictures. I would love to see them and post them below. Until next time, bon appétit, à bientôt.